SMALLEY was founded in 1918. At the time, we're making piston rings. In 1963, the Brierehl family acquired ownership of the company. And ever since, we have stopped making the piston rings and moved on to manufacturing edge-wound wave spring, crest-to-crest, and then also some retaining rings. In 2002, we opened our first office in France at Trappes, near Paris. And then in 2004, we moved from our Wheeling location to our Lake Zurich location, which is our current. In 2004, we opened an office in Sweden. And then in 2013, the warehouse, or the office in France was converted to a warehouse. In 2015, we opened a sales office in China, and it was expanded into a warehouse in 2021. Currently, SMALLEY is headquartered in Lake Zurich, Illinois, near Chicago, and this is where the manufacturing location is at. We have a 30,000 square meter state-of-the-art manufacturing facility and global location in France, Sweden, and China. We also have manufacturers representative in Korea, India, and Panama. And then we also have multiple partners worldwide for stocking and logistics. At this time, we're about 600 employees, including more than 60 engineers. And our products have been in about 25,000 different types of applications. The map of where you can actually acquire our SMALLEY product, with our location in blue for the manufacturing, in white where our office and warehouses are. Our distribution network is in blue, and then the red is our manufacturer's representative. Global support. So we have this warehouse and logistics network. We also have a good quality and service, as well as good technical support, which I'll go into more details a little bit later. As far as our manufacturing is concerned, we are vertically integrated. We start from purchasing a round wire, and we laminate it or roll it flat in-house, and the manufacturing process is called edge winding. So we actually feed the wire into the machine and coil it on its edge, adding waves when we actually make springs, or leaving it flat for retaining rings. This manufacturing process allows us to actually not have any tooling charges when we manufacture, whether it's prototype or production. As materials, we commonly use carbon steel 302, 316, 17.7. But we also have up to 60 different alloys depending on the corrosion requirements or temperature requirements. Some of the more common material is Inconel 750, 718, A286, beryllium copper, alloy Manao. What industries do we service? Well, we are a component, so we can go into a lot of different type of industries. Consumer products, aerospace, green energy, medical, automotive, industrial, and off-highway vehicles. The medical industry, we are ISO 13485 certified, and we do have application both outside or inside the body. Depending on the requirements, the material comes into play for these types of application. In the automotive sector, we are IATF 16949 and also ISO 14001. Application ranged from tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers. We do transmission, EGR valve, TMMs, rear view mirrors, seat belts, airbags. So being a component, we can find into all kinds of application. More recently, with EV vehicles, we have seen a lot of application with retaining rings, and we have a new product called the Revolux, which allows to have much higher RPMs without having any failure. So there's a little bit of a locking mechanism in the ring that once installed prevents it from expanding at higher RPM. For off-highway vehicles, it's similar to the automotive, but in bigger sizes and stronger requirements. So still the IATF can be used for quality requirements, but we have been a CAT Supplier Quality Award winner for many years. For the aerospace, we are AS9100 certified. Some of the application in the aerospace is on the engine, APUs. We've seen air vents, seatbelt, armrest, etc. So here again, a lot of various applications. For the oil and gas and the chemical industry, these are more applications where the materials selection that we have is our advantage on these products. So we are NACE compliant, and whatever the design you can do, we can also make it into either a Inconel 750 or 718 or Helgeloy, Hastelloy, MPM35N. So all of these can be used for the same design depending on the material requirements. Applications are both downhole, subsea, and also surface. Consumer products are mostly application in the bike industry, for example, or even some of shoes sometime in the past. So for industrial applications is our biggest sector, and we do all kinds of application with different volumes. Most common are motors with bearing preload and then connectors. Our products. Our products are into two categories, the retaining rings and then springs. The springs, our flagship product is called the crest-to-crest spring. And the main difference to a coil spring is that for the same load and deflection, we actually need about 50% of the space that a coil spring would be requiring. So this allows for smaller applications, but also weight savings and machining costs, material costs, not just with the spring only, but also with the overall application. We also make single turn gap or overlap wave spring. These are primarily used in bearing preload, but it's where you need one single wave washer. We also make what we call the nested spiral wave, and that's multiple turn, but in one single element of wave washers. So this allows to make sure that we always have the same exact number of spring being added when the load requirement is pretty high. We also have linear springs used into various applications where you need a length and have a load over a certain length instead of a diameter. Then lastly, we have what we call the Wavel, which is the only round wire product that we manufacture, single turn. And the best way to compare these products is if you look at a single turn, a Wavel will give you the load of 5 single turns, and then the nested would carry you after the 5. Our second main product is the spiral retaining ring. So this is a product that covers 360 degrees, so you can go all the way around it. But the main difference to the circlip is that we do not have ears that can interfere, especially on the smaller diameter where the ears on the circlip is actually pretty sizable, they do come into contact. So application with a needle bearing, for example, where you'd have the two rays that are very close to one another, not having these ears actually prevents from having to space the locking ring. Here again, we have range of product for the retaining ring. We have the constant section. So it could be one single turn or multiple turns, depending on the load retention for the rings. We also have a wave ring, which combines two parts. So when you need a spring and a ring into the application, you can replace it with one wave ring, which act both as a ring and a spring. We have the hoopster. The hoopster is used in more tube application. So if you have a tube, you can't have a groove that is too deep because it will make a risk point by having a too deep of a groove. Instead of having a deeper groove, we have a shallower groove, but it's a little wider, and it does offer the same retention power of a retaining ring. Laminar sealing ring, a little bit of a special product within the range of rings. So we use these into application where the dust is very aggressive or the temperature is very high, and rubber neoprene type of seal will fail. So these are metal seals. They are not 100% sealant. They really protect the inside from the outside elements. And then the last product is the self-locking ring. This is an application where we've seen on the rise with automotive and EV vehicles. So with higher requirements for rotational speed, the ring will open up when it reaches the highest speed and then come out of the groove. So we have a locking mechanism that prevents the ring from actually extending and coming out of the groove. No matter the product you choose, we do have many different resources. So you can go on the website and you can run calculation. You can look for parts. You have a part search. You can also download measuring guide, installation guide, that kind of stuff. So those are very good content library. But with the engineering staff that we have at SMALLEY, you can always make a request for a special design or have a question, and we will be able to have one of our engineers contact you and discuss with you your application. So quality and delivery, we strive for 100% in terms of these two categories. We do have exceptional on-time delivery, and many different quality requirements are always covered. So if there's need for quality documentation, we're always happy to provide this as well. And SMALLEY contact.